the training part of our call now, which our headline, as you can see, prospecting is fun. But then there's a question mark behind it. It's like, is it fun? Well, I don't know, Jimmy, is prospecting fun? Do you have fun prospecting?
You can make it fun. I do.
I have fun prospecting. I always like, playing a little game with myself and like little mini contest and how if I'm dialing or if I'm going out and I'm door knocking. I like setting like having like a daily goal. This is how many door knocks I'm going to do. I'm going to write this many applications. And I think if you're competitive and if you can be, if you can be competitive with yourself, prospecting can be fun. If it's not fun, if you're not having fun prospecting, then you're going to be more inclined not to want to prospect. You're gonna be more likely to procrastinate than you will to actually go out and prospect. And why? And here's the question: why do people procrastinate? You got your stack of leads, and you think, oh, I should call them, but then I don't know, you feel like you're compelled to, oh, I got to answer this email, or I should organize my office. You're making like all these excuses, or maybe you go to the refrigerator and open up the refrigerator like 7 times to look to see what's in there. Oh, I'll prospect in a minute. I'm a little bit hungry. There's all kinds of things we can do. Let me just, if you want to write this down, we are recording this. So if you go back and watch this on a replay, you can write it down. Let me tell you why we procrastinate. And everybody does it. It's in our DNA. It's human nature to procrastinate. And the reason why we procrastinate, it's really it's like the fight or flight instinct that we have inside of us. We procrastinate actually to kind of protect ourselves, because procrastination is actually caused by the preconceived fear of an undesirable outcome. So in other words, it's like, why, why don't you go out and run 10 miles? Well, it's going to be good for you, but then you're thinking, oh, it's so hot out, I'm going to get hot and sweaty. Then my legs are going to ache. And you come up with all these crazy excuses of why you shouldn't exercise or why you shouldn't do this. And, with prospecting, it's, it's too early. Oh, I missed my window. It's too late. Oh, these leads are too old. No one's going to answer. You're building up all that self-doubt in your head. And when you have that preconceived fear of the undesirable outcome, is the fear of rejection or fear that people aren't going to answer or they're going to say no or whatever it is you conjure up in your head, that causes us to procrastinate. And there's only one cure for procrastination, Jimmy, right? And
Yes,
that's
sir.
taking action. It's the only thing. It's like if you ever had a kid that you're trying to teach swim or maybe go off the diving board. I remember my daughter many years ago, the first time we ever tried to get her off the diving board. I mean, it was like she procrastinated. She walked out to the edge of the diving board, looked at the water. Oh my God, it's too high. She walked back, got off the diving board, went through that about 6 times. And then what happened, Jimmy? The first time she jumped in, big smile on her face, swims to the edge of the pool. I still have the video on my phone. Swims to the edge of the pool, can't wait to get back going. Prospecting is a similar thing. It's like once you have activity, once you take action, and then you get that positive result. You get that first connection, good or bad. You got a nice conversation. You book an appointment. Man, now now you really want to go. You really want to go after it. Okay. So guys, I know a lot of people you're watching this on a replay on YouTube. Hey, do me a favor. If you're finding some value in the content that we're sharing, whether you're with Senior Solutions or not, please go ahead and subscribe. I know we have, I don't know how many, 700, 800 subscribers. The majority of those I realize are with Senior Solutions, but we try to put out really good content every single week. We don't necessarily post every single webinar that we do on YouTube. I'm pretty sure we'll probably get this one posted. So if you are watching it, whether you're with Senior Solutions or you're not, hey, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe. And Jimmy, one quick thing I just want to cover very, very quickly is we did recently just revise the promotion level guidelines. Guys, I wanted to cover this real quick, and then we're going to hop right back into prospecting and give you guys some tips on prospecting over the phone, as well as prospecting in person in door knocking. I realize, and we all realize, is that a lot of people that get into the insurance business think to themselves that, yeah, I really want to build an agency, okay? And because they're looking at it and says, man, I want to get to that top contract level. I want to get to 130, 135, 140% contract level. But here's what I can tell you, and I understand. Building an agency is not for everybody. It takes a long time. It's a lot of hard work. I can tell you this, if you put the time and effort into it, it can be a life-changing event to have that passive income coming in. But don't fool yourself. Building an agency is tough. And I think what happens a lot of time is that people, they get involved with a company and they're going and they're thinking to themselves, yeah, I want to build a team. I want to build a team. They recruit a couple of people. Maybe it doesn't work out. And then they just say to themselves, you know what? Forget building a team. I just want to personally produce. I want to be a personally producer. Well, what we want to do at Senior Solutions is that we want to give everybody a path to be able to get to 120% contract level, regardless if you are an agency producer or not. So what we've come out with is, in addition to having the monthly issue paid goals, as you see, let's say as an example, level 1. If you're brand new and you're starting off in an 85-point contract, that's for the brand new person, just got licensed, probably no sales experience. There's no production required. In order to get to a 90%, requires $8,000 of issue paid business in 1 month, and you're able to move up. What I'm thinking about is, Jimmy, what about that personal producer who's a good, solid producer? Maybe they're not the superstar doing $20,000 or $30,000 a month, but they're a solid $10,000, $15,000 a month producer. I want that person to be able to have the ability to get to the higher contracts. That's why we came out on starting with on level 4, which is the 100% contract level, is that any agent that is with Senior Solutions that is able to get up to a cumulative, and I'm going to highlight this or go right underneath of it, of $150,000 of lifetime production will automatically get promoted to 100%. So as an example, let's say you're on board and you're doing, you're close to the 12,000, but you can't quite get there, but you're a solid $10,000 a month producer. Well, just easy math. If you take 150,000 divided by 10 is 15. So in 15 months, you would have accumulated a total lifetime production of 150,000. If you're only doing $5,000 a month, it would be twice that. It would be 30 months. It doesn't matter how long it takes. You could be a $5,000 a month by part-timer, or you could be a full-timer, but just maybe not the person that, ever gets over that $20,000, $30,000 of production. For the 105%, it's 200K of lifetime production. So again, real easy math. You're doing $10,000 a month, 20 months, which is less than 2 years. Now you're at 105. The 110% contract is 30,000. Easy math, 30 months. You guys, Jimmy, you're following me on this, right?
Yes, sir. I like it.
This makes sense, right? Here we go. 115, 450,000 of personal production, lifetime. You could knock it out in 3 years. Maybe you knock it out in 2 years. Maybe it takes you 5 years, but there's the pathway to get there. And then finally, as a personal producer, because here's what I can tell you. Now, if you can do 50,000, if you can go through the production and you can do $50,000 a month of personal production for 2 months consecutive in a row, that's going to put you at 120. Okay. But let's say you're not doing that. Let's say again, you're that $10,000, you're a solid $10,000 a month producer. Meanwhile, you're going to be going through the ranks. But once you hit that 550,000 of lifetime production, and maybe it takes you 55 months. That's just short of 5 years, roughly 4.5 years. Now you're at a 120 contract level. So guys, this is an opportunity, whether or not you want to personally produce, or if you want to build a massive agency, that everybody has the opportunity to at least get to 120% contract based on their own personal production. Hey, Michael, if you're available, if you could unmute and give us some feedback on this.
I am very impressed with that. You know, goals is what really propels us in life. As we all know, what we focus on, ladies and gentlemen, is what we bring in our lives. And me, Jimmy, and Joseph like to use a definition of focus. If you look at the words FOCUS, fixed on course until successful. But seeing is believing. And Joe, I love the fact right here that anybody can get to these levels. You know, insurance is all about being the steady Eddie. I know we may have some younger individuals on this call here, but Jimmy, Joe, and Michael all know the tortoise, not the hare, normally wins the race in insurance. So it's all about consistency. And if you're a consistent performer, here's the platform to really achieve all your dreams. So, Joe, very impressive. I'm so glad we brought this out right here. Everybody wants to be moving forward, and that's what motivates us, having a goal to achieve.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, can I tell you guys a funny story about the I think everybody is familiar from grammar school or maybe preschool. They teach about the tortoise and the hare. I think everybody's familiar with that story, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Well, here's something kind of funny, kind of a twist of that. When I was down in Miami at a Grant Cardone training seminar, he was talking about the tortoise and the hare, and he goes, "Hey, we're all taught to believe that the story about the tortoise and the hare and the rabbit starts out really, really fast, but then decides, I'm gonna take a nap and I'm gonna relax," which relates to us in the sales world. That would be equivalent to the person who is, let's say, God's gift to sales. They're super talented, but they're lazy. You know what I mean? Like they'll work for 2 days and make some money and, go on a little mini vacation and just kind of relax. That's that person. And then the tortoise is the slow and steady kind of person. So these pay plans that we've put in place for you to achieve the 120 is kind of for the tortoise, slow and steady. But Grant said, what if there was a third player in the race? Instead of the tortoise and the hare, what if it was the tortoise, the hare, and the fox? And the fox smoked them all. The fox ran hard and never stopped. And not only did the fox win the race, he achieved that race in record time and broke every single record out there. So think about that, is that you can do it slow and steady. You can be the rabbit. You can, if you want to be a rabbit in this organization and be ambitiously lazy, meaning that, you want to work hard for 2 days, take 2 days off, that's your prerogative. But what about being a fox? What about the guy who works hard every day, 5 days a week, 6 days a week, puts in the 12, 14 hours a day? Man, just think about how quickly you can excel and you can get through the learning curve and you can jump through these levels to get to the top contract level. Because here's what I'm gonna tell you, 150,000, that ain't a whole lot of production. That's if you break it down, that's 15 agents doing $10,000 a month in production is 150K. So slow and steady is good, but fast and steady is even better.
Hey, Joe,
Yeah.
I've always looked at it like this. Maybe it's because I'm from Texas, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I've always looked at it like you got a racehorse and a workhorse, right? And then you got a donkey, right? So it's kind of those three different characteristics. But the racehorse will go really fast, but they don't go far before they need rest. A workhorse is steady all day, and I've always tried to picture myself as being that workhorse.
Mm-hmm.
That donkey's just stubborn as all get out. It's hard to get them to move. So be a workhorse.
Yeah, don't be a donkey.
Don't be an ass.
I like the workhorse analogy. That's good. So, hey guys, back to prospecting is fun. Man, prospecting can be fun. I'm just telling you, if you're working file expense leads, whether it be direct mail leads or Facebook leads, whatever you're going to be working, I'm just telling you, man, get your day started early. Don't start prospecting at 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm just telling you, you've absolutely have blown the best part of the day. In my history, the best part of the day for prospecting for me were the 4 hours from 8 in the morning until noon. Those were always been the best times. And then later in the afternoon, a lot of times people ask me, Jimmy, when's the best time to prospect? Anytime is the best time to prospect. But there are certain times that are better than others. In other words, if you've got something going on, let's say you have a doctor's appointment in the morning, you can't prospect. Don't think to yourself, well, I'm going to wait till the evening because something else will come up. Man, it's okay to prospect in the middle of the day. I've prospected, from noon until 4, from 4 until 7 until 8. I just want to say, don't, it always cracks me up when people they make excuses. Well, I can't call now because it's this holiday or it's the day before Christmas or what. Who cares, man? It's every day is a good day to prospect. And here's the other thing I'm going to tell you: the earlier, the better. 8 o'clock in the morning, I promise you, you will not offend anybody. If you're bold, start at 7:30. Guys, you got to remember, if you're dialing, now I'm not talking about cold calling, because if you're cold calling off of a list, then you have to kind of follow the regulations, the do not call list and the solicitation, the telemarketing list. If you're calling off of a lead where someone digitally, whether it be Facebook, direct mail, if they actually filled out a response card, guys, you can call respectfully as early as you want. I usually don't call before 8, maybe 7:50, But here's you got to think of our clientele. Most of the people we're calling are older anyway. They're probably at 8 o'clock, they're already on their second cup of coffee. They're thinking about all the errands they're going to run. So if you wait till 9, 10 o'clock, there's a lot of people you're going to miss that have already left to go out and run their errands for today. So don't be afraid of calling early. And if you're going to prospect by phone, always use the trick of triple or quadruple dialing the phone number. And we've got some really good training videos on how to make phone calls, how to overcome objections. But simply the triple call technique is basically, if I've got a lead, let's say it's whether it's Facebook, direct mail, doesn't matter. I'm going to punch in those numbers into my cell phone. I'm going to call the number. I'm going to hear it ring once or twice, and then I'm going to deliberately hang up. And guys, I will do that at least 3 times. On the 3rd time, I'll usually let it go until it sounds like it's getting ready to go to voicemail. Usually that's 5, 6, sometimes 7 rings. If no one's picking up, I'll hang up and I'll try one more time. I'll do a 4th time, 3 or 4 times. Now, a lot of agents will say to me, oh, you're going to piss people off and they're going to get mad at you. No one's ever gotten mad at me. Jimmy, I know you do it. Has anyone ever yelled at you because you called them 3 or 4 times?
Nope.
No. I mean, it's just, and if they, it's like, it's kind of funny because you think, at first you think, oh man, what are they going to say? And they just pick up the phone. It's like, hello? Like they're curious. And the reason why we do that is that there's a psychological factor that we're building up, because if someone calls, like Jimmy, if you get a call, I get a call, first thing you do? You pick up the phone and look at it, right? And it's a number, you don't recognize it. I'm not going to answer that. I don't know who that is. You put your phone down. Then it only rings once. You're like, it only rang once. That's weird. And then it rings again, and it does the same thing. By the 3rd or 4th time, I'm just telling you, that person's looking at their phone and they're so curious of who it is, they can't help themselves but to answer the phone. It's really, I'm just telling you, man, it's pretty crazy how it works. I learned that technique probably 10 years ago. I thought it was insane. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. And then I tried it and it worked. I'm like, oh my God, it worked. And now I do it on all my calls. So what we're going to move into, you know what I was going to talk about? I'm sorry. I'm going to get into the phone script that I use, but talking about prospecting, the reason why prospecting is so important, and I know I say this a lot, but I'm going to say it again. I think most new agents drastically underestimate the amount of prospecting it requires to be successful. Even if you have the best leads in the world, it's still, even if you're buying 20 or 30, of the expensive direct mail leads or Facebook leads, guys, you have to prospect like your life depends upon it. And prospecting falls right in this line right here. This is where prospecting falls in. First off, the sales funnel starts with leads. You got to have more leads than you have time. That's going to be important. Without leads, let's face it, without people to talk to, we're out of business. Prospecting is what gets us in front of the people. That's what makes the appointments. So it all starts with good prospecting habits. Your livelihood in sales is going to be determined by your daily prospecting habits. If you are a weak prospector, now remember, I'm not saying the word talented. You don't have to be overly talented. You can overcome talent by just working through it and working harder than everybody else. The person who has the most amount of leads coming in with the most amount of prospecting is, at the end of the day, it's the agent that's going to win. Jimmy and I always talk about massive activity. Massive activity equals massive results. I know you've heard that before. We'll say it again because it's true. Massive activity will always outperform the person who's super talented. It's like the analogy Jimmy was given about the workhorse. The workhorse is always going to outperform the racehorse, because how long is the longest race? The Kentucky Derby is 1.25 miles or 1.1 miles. The Preakness or the Belmont, one of those two is the longest, which is 1.5 miles, and the horses are almost dead by the time they run it. It takes all of less than 2 minutes to do it. A workhorse can go all day, man. because that's the way they're built. We have to be built like that, like that workhorse. And what you do daily will define you. So the great thing about being in sales and the great thing about what we're doing is that everything that will make you successful in this business is a teachable, learnable skill. Trust me, I came into this business, I was not overly talented, probably least talented, but I stayed in the game long enough to develop skills. I didn't have any sales skills when I got, well, I did have some sales skills because I was in sales. I should take that back. I had some sales skills, but not selling insurance, not selling an intangible, not selling an intangible product. So you really got to go through that learning curve. So Jimmy, anything you want to add before we, I know there's some stuff that you probably like to add before we just hop right into the sales script.
When we get to the door knocking, I want to talk about a game that I play, but it's only for door knocking.
Got it. All right, let me see if Candy is on. Candy, are you still on? I don't think I muted you out. Let me just double check. Let's see. Oh, and muted. I guess I did. I didn't mean to. Candy, are you there?
Yes, I can hear you, Joe.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, Candy, I know that when it comes to prospecting, that you prefer taking it to the street and door knocking over calling on the phone, correct?
Right. That's
Okay.
correct.
All right. So here's what's kind of funny is that with the organization that I was with when I first started running final expense leads about 10 years ago, we didn't know what we were doing. Nobody was running final expense, and they brought in this guy, like a trainer, a final expense trainer from an outside organization to do some teaching on final expense, and he thought everybody was crazy that was calling their leads. He's like kind of a Southern accent, but he was just, he goes, y'all crazy calling these leads. He goes, they're mail leads. They already mailed before, man. Why would you call them? Just go see them. I'm like, wow, that seems crazy to me. like really, you're just going to show up at their house unannounced, But then once you kind of understand the process, and now, I mean, I'm just telling you this, if I only had to pick one way to prospect, unequivocally, it would be door knocking. It is definitely, in my opinion, the most effective, just because you're able to see the clients, you can see them, they can see you. Let's face it, 80 to 90% of the way humans communicate is through body language, and you're able to communicate. Just so, Candy, I know you don't do a lot of prospecting over the phone, but just tell us maybe, and you've been doing this a long time, as long as I have, why do you prefer just going out and door knocking, not even making a phone call? Why do you prefer that over soliciting by phone?
Well, I like to door knock because I get a hold of the client. And when I get a hold of the client, they let me in their door and I'm able to do a presentation and possibly make a sale. If I call them on the phone, they may have forgot the lead. They may have forgot they sent in the lead. They hang up on you, or they say they're busy right now, or there's one excuse after another when you call them. But when you go out to their home, there's no excuse. They're letting you in the door.
Yeah, I agree with you. The biggest obstacle, guys, that you're going to have with booking appointments over the phone is, as soon as you make that phone call and they if they do answer the phone, that's the first thing. You got to get them to answer. If they answer their phone, the first thing that pops into their head is that you're a telemarketer. Okay, even though they filled out the form, they think that you're a telemarketer, so automatically their defenses are up. When you're door knocking, first of all, telemarketers don't door knock, okay? So when's the last time you had a telemarketer show up at your door, Candy?
I haven't.
Exactly. So when we get to that point, things will be a little bit scary. But just think about that. You know, if someone were to show up to your house unannounced, but let's say it's something that you had requested information on. Let's say it wasn't life insurance. Let's say it was something else. Let's say it was a bid on landscaping. You know, because I have agents all the time. Oh, you can't just show up to somebody's house. You're gonna offend them. And if that was me, I would call the cops or get my gun. I'm like, come on, really? I said, then, you know, you're letting your own preconceived notions dictate what you think other people are gonna think. Think of it this way. Let's say you had got something in the mail about making your lawn beautiful and green and lush, and you know, this company is going to make your landscaping or your lawn be the envy of the neighborhood. Say, oh, that sounds pretty cool. So you fill out a little postcard and you throw it in the mail, and you kind of forget about it. And then 2 weeks later, let's see, you get a knock on your door. Hey, Mr. Johnson, my name's Joe from True Green. Hey, I know I'm catching you off guard, but I was in the neighborhood. If you recall, you had filled out this card about having the best yard in the neighborhood. If you got 5 minutes, I'd just like to show you how the program works. Now, ask yourself this: would you be offended? No, of course not. Why? Because you filled out a form. That's the whole power of direct mail or even Facebook leads, is that they filled out a form and they mailed it back. In other words, they solicited you. You're not a cold caller. I mean, and once you get that confidence, I tell you, when I really broke through with final expense sales, is really when I got the confidence that I really understood the power of the lead, is that I'm not inconveniencing them. I'm not bothering that person. Wait a minute. I was sitting in my office, minding my own business, and they mailed the card in. By gosh, it's my duty and it's my obligation. It's my job to provide that client with the information they requested, regardless of what the outcome is going to be. I don't care what the outcome is going to be. My job is just to deliver the information. Hey, Candy, if that call's for me, tell them I'm busy.
Oh, I'm sorry, Joe. I just deleted it.
So that's okay. But that's something I used to, but I'm kind of laughing about that. But anytime I was in a client's house making a presentation and their phone would ring, I would tell them, I said, hey, if it's for me, tell them I'm busy. They would always get a chuckle out of that. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to be the agent, and I want you to role play the phone script with me, and I'm just going to call you up, and you're going to be the client, and I'm just going to follow through the script. And you can be a tough client or an easy client. I really don't care. But I just want to get through the script. And guys, the main thing about this script, there's a lot of phone scripts out there, and I've written a lot of scripts. I'm just telling you that the simpler the script, the better. You know, if you've got your phone script and you're looking at it and you've had a previous phone script and it's like 3 pages long, it's the wrong phone script. It should be short and to the point. Because remember, with this particular script, is that we're booking appointments to go see the client in person. If you're selling over the phone and you're talking about telesales, obviously that's going to be a little bit different. We're not training on telesales today. We have training on our YouTube channel on telesales. This training today is how to convert a Facebook lead or a direct mail lead into a physical appointment. where you're actually going out and seeing the client. So Candy, you ready to roll?
I'm ready to roll.
I'm going to ring you up. Ring, ring, ring.
Hello?
Hello, Candy.
Yes, this is Candy.
Candy, this is Joe Johnson. Candy, this is Joe with Senior Benefits right here in Lake County, Illinois. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How can I help you?
Good. Well, thanks, Candy. Well, listen, the reason why I'm calling is that you had recently filled out a card that we mailed to you that was talking about the new state-regulated programs to pay final expenses. And it's just my job to make sure we get the information out to you. Candy, out of curiosity, is it better for me to drop the information off in the morning, or would the afternoon be better?
I'm not really crazy about people coming out to my home.
I totally understand. It'll be, I promise you, it'll be a real quick appointment. Candy, my job is just to get you the information on the programs and show you how they work. I promise you, it should only take 10 or 15 minutes. Would the mornings or afternoons be better for you?
Mornings are better for me.
Okay. Can I put you on the schedule tomorrow morning at 8:45, or do you need something a little bit later in the day?
Can we do it about 10:30?
Absolutely. I could put you down for 10:30. Candy, do me a favor. Just give me maybe 10 or 15 minutes on either side of that. Is that okay?
Oh, that's fine.
Okay. And let me just verify some information that you had written on the card. You'd put down here, you're at 123 Maple Street. I'm assuming that's still correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And your date of birth is 4/48 of 55. Is that correct as well?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, all right. And then you actually had your husband's date of birth down here as well, and his is 6/27/52. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So guys, now if there is no date of birth for whatever reason on the lead, let's say they didn't put down their date of birth, it says here if there's no age listed. Candy, so I can get you the proper information, may I have your correct age? How old are you, please?
54.
54. Okay, great. Now from here, guys, the second part of the script is I'm just going to confirm the appointment. Candy, could you do me a favor? Could you just go grab a pen and paper real quick? I'm going to have you write down some important information.
No problem. Hold on
Okay,
one
I'll wait.
second.
Just let me know when you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, so I have you scheduled for tomorrow morning at 10:30 is what we said, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and please do me a favor, go ahead and write down my name so you know who's coming to your house.
Okay.
My name is Joe Johnson. And then Candy, so I don't take up too much of your time, could you do me a favor and just have all your prescriptions out? That way I can write down the correct doses and spelling of the medication.
Okay, no problem.
All right. And just one last thing before I let you go. Candy, is there street parking where you live, or is the driveway better?
Oh, you can park in the driveway. Nobody really parks in the driveway.
Okay. All right. And then where are your house numbers located?
On the front of my garage.
Front of your garage. All right. Perfect. All right, Candy, sounds good. We'll see you tomorrow morning around close to 10:30. Okay.
Sounds great. Thank
All right,
you.
have a great day. Okay, guys, that's the phone script. Now, if you want to get into more lockdowns at the end, like asking, hey, what does your house look like? What are the nearest cross streets? That sort of thing. I'm all for that. Okay, that's fine. That's after you've already confirmed the appointment and you just want to kind of lock it down a little bit better. I've got no problem with that. The thing that I see, the mistake that I see agents make is that they make the front end of the script too long, and they start getting into like life insurance and benefits and everything else. And then the next thing you know, the client's asking you, well, what's this all about? And then you're trying to describe that, and you're on the phone for 30 minutes and you don't book an appointment. So the idea behind this phone script, as you can see, is that you're stating your name, where you're calling from, the purpose of your call, and you're booking the appointment. And then the other thing that if you noticed in the delivery and the tonality, listen, I wasn't super like bubbly, you know, like a salesperson. You know, it was just very, as a matter of factly, it was calm, cool, collective. It was a low and slow type delivery. I wasn't talking super fast. I was talking a little bit slower. And then when I got to the part about the state regulated, if you noticed in my voice, I said, Candy, the reason for my call is that you had recently filled out a card we mailed you that was talking about the new state regulated programs to pay for final expenses. If you notice in my delivery, I slowed down in that particular area and then went on, Candy, it's just my job. And there's little interjections. Here's an example. In the script, it just says, hello, client's name. My name is Joe, Senior Benefits, XYZ County. The reason why I'm calling. If you noticed, what I said is what I inserted there. I said, hey, Candy, this is Joe with Senior Benefits in Lake County. How are you doing? Now, that's not in the script. That's just my personality. I always say that. Hey, this is Joe. How you doing? What's that? Candy, were you saying something?
I'm sorry, Joe. Go ahead.
Okay, all right.
No.
Got it. It's up to you if you want to insert that. It's okay for you to insert a little bit of your own vocabulary. And listen, man, we've got agents all over the country with different dialects, and they say different things. The important thing is that you're using the script and you're using the delivery and the content that we're teaching. The important thing is that you should memorize the script and really make it your own, and then just insert maybe certain words or phrases that are appropriate to the area that you live geographically. If you're selling in the Northeast, that may be a little bit different than Alabama or Georgia or parts of Florida. If you're selling in California, it may be a little bit different. People where I live in the Midwest, we talk a little bit differently. So it's not so much what you say, but how you say it. And the important thing is delivering your message as quickly and efficiently as possible. Remember, what's the purpose of the phone script? It's to book an appointment. That's it. That's the only reason for calling. It's not to try to sell them. It's not to do anything else other than to get you in front of the client. If you're looking for some training on how to overcome objections, we've got a really good training video on YouTube, and it's probably, I don't know, 5-6 years old. But I'm just telling you, I listen to it all the time. I think it's one of the best training videos that I've done on how to overcome objections. So sometimes when I need to tune up, if I'm going to be on the phone making calls, I'll go back, I'll listen to that YouTube just to kind of refresh my objection handling techniques. Now, here's what I can tell you. I'm going to just cover one thing on how to overcome objections. And this is like my go-to objection handling technique pretty much for any time I get an objection, either on the phone or even at the door. One of the most common things that you'll get is that your client will say to you, so what's this about? So Candy, let's role play the script again, and then kind of just cut me off and say, wait a minute, why are you calling? What's this all about? Okay.
Okay.
So we'll start in the beginning. Ring, ring, ring.
Hello.
Hello, Candy.
Yes, this is Candy.
Hey, Candy, this is Joe with Senior Benefits here in Lake County. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Candy, the reason why I was calling, because you recently filled out a form that we mailed you that was talking about the new state regulated programs to pay for filing expenses. And it's just my job to make sure we get you that information. Is it better for me to drop the information off in the morning, or is the afternoon better?
What is this about again?
Oh, no problem, Candy. Let me go back. Sometimes I talk a little bit too fast. My name is Joe with Senior Benefits. I'm right here in Lake County. And Candy, we had mailed you a form that you had filled out and sent back. Candy, what I can tell you is that most of the people that I talk to, they tell me the main reason why they requested this information, they just want to make sure is that when they do pass away, they're not leaving their family with a financial burden. Was that your concern as well?
Yes, absolutely. That was my concern.
No problem. My job is just to deliver the information on the state regulated programs. Is it better for me to drop the information off in the morning, or would the afternoon be better for you?
The morning's fine.
Morning's fine. Okay, then we're gonna book the appointment. Jimmy, before we move on, when it comes to the phone script, anything that you'd like to add?
Um, just this is just me being like a machine, okay?
Yeah.
I would write down whenever you know, because you make a lot of calls and you don't connect. But whenever you get somebody on the phone and you actually give them your script, right? You want to obviously you want to track how many calls you're making, how many people you're talking to, how many appointments you're setting, but you want to write down the objections that you get. And then when you start seeing a pattern, then you can analyze that and you can say, well, I'm projecting something that's triggering this objection. What am I saying or not saying to reduce that objection, right? So like if you're getting everybody saying the same thing, then you're saying something wrong or not saying something, right? You should have a good variety of objections. And the other thing is you want to overcome those objections, right? So you want to write them down and then you want to put some thought into it. Well, what could I have said better? Maybe practice it. And then, when you get that same objection, then you can handle it different. And just keep writing it down and keep a track of what your responses are and what responses worked well, which ones didn't. And then that way it's just a constant improvement.
Yeah, I agree, guys. We did a really good training video on handling objections. There's a technique that I use for every single objection, and it's we call it the AAA approach. It's agree when someone gives you an objection, you agree with them, you answer the objection, and then you ask a question. So I don't know if you noticed it, but like when Candy said, "Well, what's this about?" I said, "No." I agreed with her, no problem. I'll slow down. I answered the question of why she filled the form out, and then I asked a question, and the question I asked would it be better for me to deliver the information in the morning or afternoon? So that's if you want to write that down, it's just a real simple technique to overcome or to handle any objection in any situation is agree with the client, answer what their objection is, and then come back with a question. And the question is usually going to be getting back on focus is when can I deliver the information? What time works best for you? Okay. So with that, Michael, are you still with us? I know he's driving. We are going to move on. And then Candy, I'm going to have you, if you could take a few minutes, really don't have a screen set up for it, but if you could kind of walk us through maybe your approach at the door, and since you are strictly door knocking, you're not making any phone calls, just let us just walk us through from pulling up to the house to every little thing that you do, and what do you say at the door to let them in the house right then and there? Or, are you booking an appointment for a later time?
Okay. Well, when I start out, I use Route for Me app. It's a app that you can put in all your contacts and it takes you to the nearest location first or the farthest location first. And
Okay.
then, so I'm doing that. So then I get to the door. I pull up to the client's house. I leave my car door open and my car on. I pull up in their driveway and then I ring the doorbell. And then somebody comes to the door and I said, "Hi, my name is Candy Cardona. I'm a licensed field underwriter by the state of Illinois. I'm looking for Mary Ross. Are you Mary?" And she'll be like, "Yes." And when I tell them that I'm a licensed field underwriter by the state of Illinois, they get concerned. They think maybe there's a death or, they don't know what's going on. So I'm always standing at a distance. I don't get close to them. And I tell them what I just told them, that I'm a licensed field underwriter by the state of Illinois. And then I said, "I'm looking for Mary Ross. Are you Mary?" And she says, "Yes." Then I get closer and I show her the paper the lead that she filled out and sent into our company. And I point to her signature and said, "Is that your signature? Did you fill this out?" And they'll be like, "Yes." "What is this about?" And I said, "This is to help take care of your final expenses. You filled this out and mailed it into our company. And it takes me about 5 minutes to go over the plans available to you. Do you have 5 minutes?" And usually they say, "Yes, come on in." And then I say, "Okay, hold on. Let me shut off my car and grab my bag and I'll be back in a second." And they're like, "Okay." And I go in and I do the, you know, process and write the policy up
Beautiful.
and
So
leave and thank them.
what do you,
And
Candy, what do you take to when you do the initial door knock? Now, obviously, I'm assuming, I'm assuming you have your ID badge on.
yes, I have my ID badge on.
And then what are you just taking the lead up, or I mean, what are you actually taking to the door?
I take the lead, I take my sticky notes, and I take a pen.
Okay. And that's
So
it.
that way, if they're home, I have the lead for them. If they're not home, then I can write out the sticky note to put on their door.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And what would you say your people that you door knock and they actually answer the door? I know you probably don't have the exact numbers, maybe you do, but what would you say your success rate is of actually getting in the house?
Well, if they're at the door, I'm getting in the house. So
Okay.
it's about 98% rate that if they're at the door, I'm getting in the house. Very seldom do they say, "Well, I have to go to work now. Can we do this later?" I've had that happen, but it's very seldom. If they're home, they're home, and I'm door knocking at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm starting my day at 9 a.m. And that's when people are starting their day, and they just let me in the door.
Yeah. So guys, what's cool about what I always loved about door knocking is that it eliminated having to book appointments over the phone and then driving there and getting no-showed.
Exactly.
The beauty of door knocking is that it's impossible for them to no-show you because you're already there, you know?
Exactly.
And I think if you follow and you notice how short and sweet the script was and just to the point. Whenever I get an agent that calls me and they're having trouble at the door, it's usually because they're getting into some 10-minute conversation about life insurance and they're like giving quotes on the doorstep. It's your job
Right.
is strictly to deliver the information. They filled out the form. I'm the state licensed field underwriter. It only
Oh,
takes
and I
a few
show
minutes.
them my ID too when I say that.
What do you do, Candy?
I show them my ID badge that's hanging around my neck. I say I'm a
Oh,
licensed field underwriter by the state of Illinois, and I show them my ID.
got it. Perfect. Perfect. So guys, if you've never door knocked, I'm just telling you, it will change the way you think about prospecting. And remember, it's not like we're just canvassing some neighborhood, okay? These are clients who specifically filled out a form requesting information. And if you're serious about final expense, you have to be serious enough to take it to the street to deliver the information. Because remember, at the end of the day, what is your job? Our job is to deliver the information in which that client requested at all means possible. So if they don't answer their phone, or even if you're prospecting by phone and they click and they hang up on you, you still need to go door knock that prospect. I have door knocked and have sold many of clients, trust me, that hung up on me, and I went there and sold them. And you know what? Not one of them ever put two and two together. It says, oh, I hung up on you. They don't even remember. Why? Because if they hung up on you, they were associating you as a telemarketer. So they would never.
Actually, Joe,
Yes.
I had one person hang up on me repeated times, and she blocked me. And I went out to her house, knocked on the door, set the appointment with the husband for the following morning because she wasn't home.
Okay.
And she ended up writing me a thank you letter card. It was a card thanking me because she told me in the card that she had blocked me thinking I was a telemarketer. And she was so thankful that I came out to her house and wrote them up. And now she has insurance.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah.
But you know what? There's people on this call that probably would have thrown that lead away. They would have said, oh, this person's blocking
Yep.
me. They're a jerk. They don't want the coverage. No, they didn't. Don't take it personal. They just thought you were a telemarketer. No wonder. Why? Because you were calling them. You can't take it.
Yeah.
When it comes to prospecting, man, you cannot get emotionally attached to the outcome of every lead. You just gotta be a machine. So I love your approach. Jimmy, anything you want to add or any questions for Candy?
Hi, Candy.
Hi, Jimmy. How are you?
I'm doing good. I don't have any questions for you. I see that we're running over, so I'm going to kind of be brief. But what I wanted to add, Joe, is you did mention we do have videos available for door knocking, but I'm just gonna for the new folks that are on the call, I just want to say first off, you want to be in a good mood. When I first did this, I was so scared of just going out to somebody's house unannounced. I thought, oh my God, I'd rather just call on the phone. And you know what? Now it's flipped. I much prefer to go out and knock on the door than to call on the phone. It's just a better work day, right? You get out of the house, you're removing yourself from distractions and you just work through the day, right? But having said that, I like to play a game. And so the first thing is put yourself in a good in a good mood by putting on some good music that you're listening to, any kind of music that's going to keep you in a good mood. The game that I like to play is how many prospects can I generate off of this one lead, right? And so this is what I do. I download an app to my phone. It's called White Pages. Write that down, White Pages. Kind of like the white pages from the phone books that we used to have back in the day, right? But now it's on your phone. And this is how it works. I go and I knock on the door for the lead. However that turns out, good, bad, or indifferent. Then what I do is I go to the house on both sides, to the right and to the left, and I type in the address in White Pages. And it will tell me that neighbor's name and their age. It's pretty cool. So now, if, by the way, I got in, let's say at Mr. Smith's house, and let's say I sold him a policy, then I'm going to ask him about their neighbors. So I'm going to get their neighbors' info from them, right? And I'll ask, for a little insight. If they're not home, they didn't answer or whatever, I'm typing in the neighbor's address and I'm getting their name. And now I'm going and I'm knocking on their door. And then I could say, hello, Mr. Johnson. My name is Jimmy Hernandez and I'm with Senior Solutions. And the reason why I'm knocking on your door is we had mailed out this information to you, but we didn't get a request back. And I just wanted to make sure that you got the information. See, because next door, Mr. Smith did request this information. Well, what is it? What is it about? So then you just go into your little, your little spill and you tell them what it's about. And I don't talk about insurance. I talk about making sure that they have enough in place to cover, their funeral cost or cremation costs when they pass away. And that's what gets the door open. So I do that to the house on the right, to the house on the left, and then the house directly across the street. So it looks like a cross. In the industry, they call it the clover leaf. The other thing I do is I always look for people that are outside, right? So let's say I'm going to Mr. Smith's house, but Mr. Johnson is outside watering his grass. Well, I'm going to stop at Johnson's house first because I don't have an appointment with Mr. Smith and he's outside right now. So I'm going to go talk to him. And whoever I see outside, I talk to as many people as possible. Sometimes you go to a neighborhood and everybody's sitting outside, right? Just depends on the weather. Like down here in Texas right now, it's brutal hot. So, most people are not sitting outside, but maybe you're not in Texas and maybe, when you decide to do this, the weather's nice and you have people sitting out on their front porch, go talk to them. One thing I learned is that, you don't make any sales unless you have somebody to tell your story to. And if there's people outside, that's just another person to tell my story to. I have made countless sales to the neighbors of the folks that mailed in the lead. Sometimes I sell the lead. Sometimes I never even get to talk to that person, but I make sales off of those leads by talking to the neighbors. So if you want to reduce your cost of leads, go talk to the neighbors. So that's my tip of the week. Joe, I'll turn it back over to you.
That's tremendous. That's tremendous. Candy, any closing comments before we wrap up the show?
When you get to the door, I just wanted to say smile because you're coming to their home. They're caught off guard. And when they see a smile, it's very hard for them to be mean. So smile and then say, hi, my name is, and go on.
Very nice. That's the tip right there. Thank you, Candy. That's awesome.
You're welcome.
Hey, well, thanks for being on the call. You're a tremendous friend, a tremendous asset to Senior Solutions, and really appreciate you.
Oh, thank you, Joe.
All right, guys. All right. Well, love you guys. Everybody have a great weekend. If you need me, you know how to reach me. Give me a call. Thanks, Jimmy. Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Candy.
Take care.
You're welcome.
All right. Bye-bye.